Oh my god, you left Hawaii? Why did you leave? Oh, can you like chihu for me? A lot of Hawaii people do that, right? So do you like canoe to school? Yes, Becky, I do. I do canoe to school. What's up everyone, it's me, your favorite brown boy from Hawaii. Those who didn't know, I am from Honolulu, Hawaii. I was born and raised in that area. So for this first video, episode 1 of the I Am series, I'm so glad. I'm gonna be talking about growing up and my childhood back home in Hawaii. But most importantly, I want to share with you all the reasons why I decided to leave the island and decided to kind of make a living out here in California and why I don't put much effort in going back home. That being said, let's get this show started. So like I said before, I was born and raised in Honolulu, Hawaii, specifically Salt Lake. So Salt Lake, not Salt Lake City, Utah now. Salt Lake is a small suburban like city near Pearl Harbor and near all the military bases. That's where I grew up. Predominantly, it's a lot of people who are also local. So yeah, I was local born. My family is first gen American. My sisters, I have 3 older sisters. 2 of them are kind of like 1.5 because they were born in the Philippines but raised here in Hawaii. The 3rd sister, she was born and raised as well in Hawaii. So me and her are 2nd gen American, I would say. Besides my parents and my family, most of my dad's side actually immigrated from the Philippines to Hawaii. So a little fun fact history, a lot of Filipinos, specifically Ilocanos, settled in Hawaii. Back in the day, it was either politically because they moved or to get themselves out of poverty. The only person that really moved to Hawaii with us on my mom's side was my grandmother, my nanay. Nanay means mom in Tagalog, but I know there's a lot of families who don't use nanay to talk about their mother, but their actual grandmother. I don't know. I called my grandmother growing up nanay. So most of my childhood memories is my grandmother. She was an educator. She grew up, you know, in poverty in the Philippines, but when she retired, she did like any other good grandmother and came over and, you know, raised me and my sisters. She's such a big impact on my life. Like I mentioned, she's an educator. She was one of those people who was always open-minded and always cared about the well-being of the child and like our education. She wanted to make sure that we had a better life. I went to the beach a lot. I always played outside. I mean, that's how I got super dark. All my sisters, they're very fair-skinned, but me, I was one of like, they would make fun that I was adopted just because of how dark I was in comparison to my siblings and whatever. I'm brown and beautiful. Brown skin is in and it's always been in. A lot of people in Hawaii still play outside, you know, hide and seek, tag, freeze tag, all those games. The whole neighborhood was involved. We were always at each other's houses. A lot of roosters roam around, so I don't know if y'all been to Hawaii, but if you have, you'll know that there's always like a random chicken just chilling on the side of the road or doing their own thing. My uncle actually had his own little farm in our backyard. He had a whole bunch of chickens, birds, parakeets, like you name it, it was there. Now that I think of it, I think it was because of cockfighting. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's because of cockfighting. My uncle used to always get mad at me because I would lay traps for the chickens because I always wanted to catch one. And you know, sometimes I got lucky catching them and I would take a baby chick to my room, but I would always get in trouble. At one point I did learn my lesson because I decided to fuck around with trying to catch one of the baby chicks, and as I was approaching it to grab it, one of the mama hens came for me. Like she jumped out of the grass and was like, "Fuck you, bitch," and like literally like came at my life. And I think I was only like 5 when this happened. I was so scarred from that moment. I was like, yeah, don't screw with chickens, y'all. They really protect their own. Another thing I learned in Hawaii and growing up was swearing. Yes, I learned how to swear in kindergarten and I love to blame my sister. So sister, if you're watching this, I still blame you to this day for teaching me how to swear and say the F word and all the other words that I shouldn't have been saying at the age. I thought I was cool and I'd be like, you know, trying to be in the in crowd. I want to be like my sister and be cool. And so her friends thought it'd be funny to teach me how to say the F word, how to say all these other words I know I shouldn't have, but you know, I grew up, I still say it. But when I first said it in front of my mom and dad them, I didn't know that I was saying such naughty words, and so I had to tell my mom that it was her. Yeah, not much interesting happened in elementary. I Join the library club, bitch. Like, I was in that. Middle school was interesting, and I'm pretty sure everyone can admit that your middle school days are always like your weirdest period of time because everyone's trying to figure out who the fuck they are as a, you know, as a person, and we're only like 12. So I had super mixed friends, and when I say mixed, I meant like their styles, and I tried fitting into every group and it did not work. I don't know how I did it. Like, I'm very unproblematic, so I was friends with everyone, and I tried being in these different, you know, groups. Like, I'm pretty sure everyone had an emo phase. I tried to do alternative, that didn't work out. I tried to be preppy, but I could not afford the fucking clothes that they were wearing, bitch. Like, no. I tried to be like those anime weebo people. Like, I really tried to like wanna get into like cosplay and everything, and I did for a moment. I did for a split second. I even got into like really into K-pop and learning like choreo. I mean, I'm still into these type of like genres and whatnot, or like categories, but I could not fit in with any of those groups. I was literally the averages, like most average person you'll ever meet. But yeah, I remember I tried to go emo, and I really did. Like, I tried dressing in all dark and black and try to wear spikes, and that did not fly. Like, being in Hawaii too and trying to wear all black was crazy. I remember I did it and I regretted it so much because of how hot I was getting, and I looked at my friend who's very like grungy, and I love her to this day. Like, me and her, like, we still talk once in a while on Facebook, but like, she's just like, yeah, this is the lifestyle, and I'm like, this is so not the ish. Like, I cannot do it. And then there was a sudden shift in, you know, environment, like a total 180. In the 7th, 8th grade, my family decided to move to a city called Waipahu. Waipahu is an old Filipino town. It's been there since the old sugar plantation days. There's just a lot of Filipinos, a lot of Polynesians, so that includes Samoans, Micronesians, Hawaiians. There's a lot of mixed people, a lot of just very local born people. I started in that high school my freshman year, and let me tell you how awkward that was for me, going from a school where there was like a whole bunch of people saying like, oh my gosh, yeah, that's so cool, to like talking Pidgin. And Pidgin is basically a Creole language of Hawaiian and English. Pidgin is like ho bra, what's up, bule, local, hanabata days, ho pow. These are all like words that local people use to communicate, and it's still prevalent till this day. It's very much in our culture. So when I went to first day of class and I had to introduce ourselves, I was talking the way I talk right now. This is how I normally talk, and everyone thought that I was from California. A lot of them were like, are you from California, Las Vegas? They assumed that I wasn't born and raised in Hawaii. Honestly, that kind of hurt me because of the fact that growing up, I always felt like I was on their side. Like, I always felt like I was a local boy. On the plus side, I got to go to school with my childhood best friends, but going to school with them was so different because you get to see who their friends are on campus and who they surround themselves with, people that aren't in our own circle. So it was really weird seeing a different side of people that I didn't know that they had, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It was just different. And I think that's what kind of helped me realize I'm really not like my friends, even if I feel like I am. It was hard for me to really assimilate to the new culture of the school my freshman and sophomore year, just because I felt as if I didn't belong. So a lot of it was me trying to learn a new school's culture, because I'm not dealing with people from California, Texas, Atlanta. I'm dealing with people who are born and raised here who, even though I was doing the exact same thing, I did not fit in. I just felt like I couldn't necessarily connect with some of my childhood friends and a lot of the people that I made friends with in class. So another thing that happened while I was still living in Hawaii was I ended up coming out, you know, of the closet. In actuality, a lot of the people in Hawaii are openly gay, and a lot of my friends in high school were either lesbian, bisexual, or gay. Me coming out was because of the fact that my friends who were lesbians were so supportive and so patient and kind with me trying to figure out my identity. There was one other guy in our school who had a vendetta against me after I came out, and I think it's because he wanted the spotlight on him. I think he was so used to being the only, you know, fierce gay in the fucking school that he wanted to come for my gay girl. And I was like, I was very like unproblematic as a student. Like, I don't like getting into fights. Again, I was a teacher's pet. I'm not used to having to like get into confrontation, but he really tried to comfort me, and so I got fed up with it, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna throw down. And so I literally called him out because he was being rude to not only me, but he was also being rude to like my friends who were trying to be, you know, supportive of me. And so I think that was the one and only fight I ever got to, almost got into in high school. I think junior and senior year, that's when I realized that I wanted to move. You know, applying for colleges, I'm gonna graduate from high school soon. I really wanna explore more. Sorry. I'm good. I really wanted to explore more on what was outside of the island. I was always an adventurous soul. There's so much more to than being trapped on the island. So I knew I needed to move because of the fact that I was friends with everyone, but I would say I was likable, you know? Like I'm a okay personality type of person, but I for sure wasn't in any specific group, or I didn't feel like I was in the like super in crowd, you know what I mean? Like I had friends who were in all the different spaces. I mean, my senior year, I did have like a group, but even then within that group, I didn't really feel like I was attached to them specifically. Overall, Hawaii was a great place to be raised. I mean, it taught me so much about family, valuing the idea of family, the aloha spirit. Hawaii teaches you things about caring for another that you wouldn't really find in many other places. Even if I haven't been, you know, back on the island for these past, what, 2-3 years? Oh, that's really long. For these past 2-3 years, once I get back and I land, literally I'm saying auntie, uncle to everyone and anyone. Here, auntie, thank you, uncle. Oh, sorry, auntie, sorry, grandma, sorry, grandpa. Like, it's just a sign of respect and love. And I think that's one of my favorite things about Hawaii versus here. It's kind of weird if you're not Asian for me to call you auntie or uncle. Like I'm pretty sure I slipped once when I first moved here and called this, I think she was Hispanic, and she kind of looked at me weird. She was like, who the fuck are you calling auntie? It was like a trip. Another reason why I left isn't necessarily because of my peers being negative influences on me or like giving me a bad experience. Like I love my childhood. I loved where I grew up and everything. I think for me though, looking at the adults around me and seeing what they were doing with themselves, and a lot of the adults weren't necessarily really great role models, because I feel like, no offense to them, but they were very complacent with life, you know? And I think that's just the Hawaii mentality, is you either really love the island or you know you want more. And unfortunately for me, I was one of those people who wanted more. The culture isn't negative, it's not a bad thing. It's just, for me personally, I felt like I wanted to experience something other than just the beach life, the chill life, you know? I wanted to go to concerts, I wanted to go to festivals, I wanted to be experiencing different things that I could experience. And then I got accepted to San Jose State. So moving to California wasn't necessarily just a life, you know, choice. It was also an actual educational choice, you know? I wanted to go to school here. I wanted to do the whole dorming, even though I didn't, because I ended up moving in with my sister, who happened to move up around the same time. Like I mentioned this whole video, like I never felt like I truly belonged in one specific place. So it was also kind of for me to find people who were kind of like-minded, who would appreciate my humor, my quirkiness, and be with others that I didn't feel like I was straightening myself to fit a mold, or to feel like I'm trying to be this one person to be that funny guy in the group, you know? I could just be me, and whoever I was at that time would be appreciated. And I like to say I did find that, you know? I do have a whole bunch of friends, and I have support systems in California now that I hold dear to me because they really appreciate who I am as an individual, and I really, really love that about them. But yeah, here I am today. This is me. This is, you know, I'm a culmination, is that the word? I am not an addition. I am a sum of different experiences from Hawaii, and I'm just glad that I got to have a start there, because it really did teach me and gave me the privilege to just enjoy the sunny paradise, you know? There's a reason why people go back and visit every year, and it's because the culture cannot be replicated. It's one of a kind, and I love that about it. And I do want to visit back, and I do want to be in the islands and see family again. There's just a few things that are stopping me, and I will talk about that in later episodes. That being said, I probably left you with more questions than actual like answers. So what questions do you have left? You know, drop that in the comment section below. Let me know. I can probably answer it. And if I can't answer it, it's because it's gonna be talked about in the later episodes of my web series. So another thing that I didn't touch upon throughout this whole whole video, and I did mention it, was my sexuality. The thing is, sexuality is such a huge part of my identity that I wanted to talk about that as a separate video, as a separate episode. And that being said, I will be talking about that next week. In that video, I'll be talking about my sexuality, my coming out story, how it went down, who was there, what was I eating, what was I wearing, if I was crying or not, but just my overall experience dealing with my sexuality and figuring that out as I am going through the process of growing up, being in these different environments and whatnot. That is all. Thank you so much for watching the first episode. This one's probably gonna be a bit more lengthy. There is so much more than just the ratchetness that I show on social media, or there's more than just the leadership aspect that I love and do for students. I am still a person. This is me. This is me kind of exploring different parts of me and kind of re-explaining it. Hope some of you can connect with what I'm saying. Even though you probably didn't grow up in Hawaii, if you're from a small town, you probably know how it feels to wanna escape and travel and all that. So please like, comment, subscribe. Your support really means a lot to me, and see y'all next week.